See, another actual point that you would set is here's a SPAD, okay? So let me point this out as well. All of the points that I've shown you so far, all the different types of points, those are setting points in the ground, and then you would set your tripod and your total station over them, look down and view them from above, okay? This is used in the opposite. This is used in setting a point above you, okay? Specifically in mining. This is a SPAD, okay? That is what a SPAD is. It's just a little piece of metal, right? Shaped like that has a hole in the middle of it, okay? And I'll give you a couple more things and I'll show you what it looks like all the way together. Right here, this is what you call a check tag. And what this has on it is, see, I don't know if you guys can see it, but this has just been punched. We took a punch and punched in some numbers, but it gives it a point number so we can tell the difference between them, all right? All points should have some sort of point number on them. So this is a tag this is how we do it when we set SPADs underground. And what you would do, you would line it in, you'd find your point wherever you're setting it, and you would drill a hole in the top that was just a little bit smaller than the width of this. You would insert this in here, tie a piece of flagging around it, and then punch it in the top, okay? And then it's gonna sit there. That's our plumb bob. We talked about that the other day. That's when we would grab our plumb bob now, and we would tie it to here, and it would hang down over top of our total station. That's how that point setup works. And we'll take a class where we'll take a day and we'll actually walk through some of that, where you can really see and practice, maybe tying a plumb bob to a SPAD set in the ceiling, and really get the feel of how that works. Well, where you would use that, okay? Again, here, if I just nailed this in the top, that's going to really get lost. So I want to tie a piece of flagging around it to where it looks more like this, okay? That's much more visible to someone walking through, especially underground in the dark, okay? Here's an example of a PK nail. I don't know if I showed you that. That's what your PK nail would look like, right? And then you would just drive that in the ground. And there's different ways to do that. You could fold it like that. You could just tie it around it. I tend to like overlapping multiple times because I feel like it'll help the ribbon from ripping. So it helps it stay there longer. Okay, so those are a few different points. Another point, we talked about a cap. This is a surveying cap, right? It's got a hole down here. On the top of it, it's got a punch in it, and it says, I don't know if you can see it, but it says HCTC surveying. Okay, a lot of times the caps are going to have company names on them. They won't have, however, you notice that does not have a number on it, or a point number, and that's because I don't know when I get these what number is that going to be. I don't want to be set to one use for that one point. So, but I will mark it when I set a point out there. I'll have some way of knowing what that point number is. And the way these work, I'm going to take a piece of steel rebar, right? And I'm going to just put the cap over top, and I'm going to drive that in the ground, okay? And that's going to become flush. Now, a couple notes. If you ever have to set one of these, you do not want to put this where it goes, put the cap on and start hitting that, okay? Because what's going to happen, as hard as you have to hit this to drive it in the ground, sometimes it's going to go through rock. It's going to drive through some hard material, so you're going to have to hit it pretty hard. And if I had my cap on here too soon, you're going to destroy your cap. It's going to be unreadable. I've seen them actually break completely off, punches the rebar all the way through it. So just a tip on that, drive your rebar till you get about 2 inches from finished, maybe an inch from finished, and then drive this guy on until you feel it flush and finish up. Don't finish driving even that last 2 inches by just smacking this with a hammer. I'll take a stake, take some kind of stake or another piece of wood, lay it on top of there, and then hit that. And that saves your point because we want it to be readable. We want to be able to read that when we're done. And if I'm setting a rebar and cap, or iron pin and cap is what we call that. Not a rebar and cap. It's an iron pin and cap. If I'm setting that, then I want this to be a really permanent point. I've seen them have 4-foot pieces of rebar just to keep them in there longer. Okay. So again, that is an iron pin and cap. Also, when I drive this in, before I get it completely flush, I'm going to tie a piece of flagging around it just so I can see that again. Okay. If I'm out here in the woods and I'm setting points, I want to be able to locate those points again. So a way that we'll do that is we could use stakes, right? These are wooden stakes, and I might drive this in the ground near it. If I've got a point, let's say right here is my point, and this is the ground, okay? If I set my stake, I don't want to set it straight up. I don't want it that close either, but just so you can see it well. I'm not going to set my stake straight up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to back over here, and I'm actually going to lean my stake. This is exaggerated, but I'm going to lean my stake and drive it in the ground so that it's pointing towards my point. The easier it is for you to find it also means the easier it is for someone else to find it, to find your point. So you got to be careful. There are, vandalism does happen. You'll paint your stakes orange or, some bright color so that you can see those as well. So you can see it a lot easier. Well, this is designed to spray straight down. So I can push it like this, point it, it's going to spray straight to the ground. So you see right here, your finger actually goes here and you can spray. So yeah, put that in your bag as well. You want to put your paint in the bag. We talked about a machete right here. For those that's never seen a machete, it's just an oversized knife, right? And you want to keep your machete sharp so that, the sharper your machete is, the less effort you have to put in when cutting limbs. And that's what this is for. You're going to cut tree limbs or small trees even down. Definitely keep it in your machete sheath, and that's just a leather pouch, a leather holder. It's got a belt on it most of the time, and you put it around your waist and keep that out of your way. But keep that in your bag as well. Those are important. We're driving all of these different points in the ground. We need a hammer, right? Now this will work for a lot of these points, but if I'm putting this in the ground or something like this stake, this point, I really want a good hammer. And so I would recommend having something like this, right? And this is just a heavy duty hammer that's going to really drive it in there. But definitely keep your hammers. Your hammers are crucial. Okay, so put your hammers in your bag. Okay. Oh, our stakes are a great marking tool, but a pin flag, it's just a little lightweight. It's just a little bitty metal bar with a piece of flagging on top. Put those in your bags as well. Those are good point markers. Here's another little tool that you might want to consider. This is a little digging tool, and where this becomes important is if you get in a highly growed up area, like if it's got a lot of vegetation, you instead of digging with your fingers and trying to clear an area to set a point, you just use a digging tool, a garden tool like that, clean a good area out. That way you can see what you're working with and set your point pretty easy. When we're setting our points, another option that you have these survey markers, right? So I may drive a mag nail. I'll drive a mag nail through it and put it in the ground, and it's just, it says survey marker, do not remove. It kind of gives people the idea, hopefully they'll respect that and not tear it out of the ground on you. But that's another neat thing to have in your bag, just in case. That way you really just want to establish this is a point. Okay. You want people to know this isn't just somebody dropping a piece of metal. This is a survey point. Any way that you can help yourself be able to get back to that point, know which point is which, that's just going to help you. That is everything, guys, that I would put in my surveying bag. And now this is just the surveying bag. This is not, I still need my tape line, right? I'm going to have my tape line, all that other equipment. That's not necessarily going to go in my surveying bag. You might put your tape line in there, but I'm going to have different bags for that stuff. Like my prism, I would not throw my prisms down in my surveying bag. We got to take better care of that stuff. Your total station, it's got its own case, right? So this is just those pieces of equipment that can be thrown in a bag. It's not really going to hurt it. I think the thing that could be destroyed the most, and I've actually seen it, is the paint, and that's just by setting too much stuff on top of it and puncturing it somehow, and it explodes, and everything is orange.